As I piggyback on this idea, the murderer's tool that all of us possess, and the murderer's tool that I am talking about is the tool of entitlement. When we feel entitled, what does that do for you and I? It boosts our pride. It gives us domination and ownership. And that comes from pride. That comes from selfishness. That comes from what Freud has called ego. I don't know why Freud called it ego. I rather call it e-went. You know, e-went. The pride, e-went, ego. Because the ego doesn't go, the ego stays. And the ego is really pride. And we all have it. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, we all have pride. So the real root to deal with the problem with human beings is to deal with our own pride, because if we get rid of our own pride, we have this idea that we'll have communion if we get rid of something. But guess what, folks? You can't get rid of anything. You can't get rid of what you have. You can't get rid of your fingerprints. It's there. So instead of getting rid of, how about just accepting the factual truths about who we are and what we are? For so long I've tried to read self-help books, and in my basement, many of my friends have seen, there's like thousands of books. There's about 2,000 books there, 2,500 books possibly, total in my basement, or more. It's not as big as Eric's collection, but there's a lot of books downstairs. Almost as big as Eric's probably. It's like a miniature library, the first floor, first half a floor maybe. And so this idea of entitlement is not something that occurred to me, because the self-help books I read never talked about it. In fact, the self-help books generate more entitlement. It has you quote entitlement. It has you affirm entitlement. It has you confess entitlement. It has you think positive. Think attraction, attraction, attraction. Attract. You know, I'm sorry, but these people in their new age attraction crap, which is elephant shit, they're really just fantasizing. And they give themselves entitlement to a fantasy they have. So see, entitlement is the tool of the murderer. And that's what murdered my marriage and my second marriage. I felt my relationship with my second wife is guaranteed because I'm entitled. Because God said that my wife's supposed to love me until death does me and tears the shit out of me apart. And guess what? She left. And I was entitled to nothing. I was entitled never to have, at least at this point, her loving me as a husband. Likes me as a friend, and I really hate that term. Oh, I like you as a friend. I've heard that since Linda Wong days. And those words just like, they're just like little needles. It's just punctures you at the very tip of your toe, right underneath the fingernail. That little needle, click, and it just irritates. It irritates. And that's what those words do. Oh, I like you as a friend. And now at 60, I'm still hearing it. It's just like boomerang back. I thought I'd never hear those words again. I was happily married, happily ever after. As pure horse shit. I'm sorry, that's what it is. You know, I'm sad going downhill until I pick myself up. Until I realize I am not really entitled to anything, not even to my own lies, because I'm lying to myself. The pretending man is pretending again. The pretending man is pretending that he has no power to live life. The pretending man is pretending to keep preaching the message that the other part of me that keeps believing and cries, I just can't make it. I just don't know how this can happen. So, that's the reason, I suppose, I'm trying to get it together and to drop entitlement. I'm entitled to nothing. And the only thing that's entitled to anything, that wants entitlement, is basically my pride. That's it. If I had no pride, I don't really care about entitlement. That's what I've discovered for myself. Now you, my friend, you will have to discover that for yourself. And it starts with self-examination. It starts with the questions. Who am I? What am I? Why am I? How am I? And then you go about 8 layers deep on the who, what, when, why, where, how. And then from there, you come to understand entitlement and all those other things we're talking about. And then you go deeper in understanding yourself, because in understanding yourself, you'll not find the solution. You'll not find anything that's going to save you from you. But you're going to find who you really are. And in knowing you, you will find the solution, not in you saving yourself, but you will find the solution in the mind stilling itself, learning undisturbingly who you are, the entity that calls itself the Social Security number, the entity that has a name, the entity that is, even right this very moment. Entitlement is a foolish game. We can drop it just like we drop Santa Claus, in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, as a King James Version would say, or in a blink of an eye, as Blink, the author, would say. So until I share with you in a minute or two, remember, entitlement does nothing. And talking about entitlement, I want to especially thank you, Scott Aaron, for having this discussion with me so I can just share with whoever is listening and whoever can understand the importance of entitlement and why it's important to drop it, and more importantly, why we must start understanding ourselves to understand the destructive, murdering tool that we possess called entitlement, and then we can just throw it away or drop it or continue to use it willingly. You just stab someone with entitlement and just hold them in control, but you're doing it willingly now, not ignorantly. That's the difference. But Scott, thank you for this discussion, because of this discussion we had today, I'm able to share. So thank you. Until the next moment.